69. Right. Ram, Ram, Hare, Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Ram. All right, all right, all right. Oh, okay, okay. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare. Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachare. Yamunatira Vanachare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Prabhupada Jai, Prabhupada Jai, Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada Jai, Prabhupada Jai, Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Perivrajacharya Stanismad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Grantaraj Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita Ki, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki, Shri Giri Govardhan Ki, Sankirtan Yagya Ki, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So devotees, thank you for coming, all of you. We hope you're enjoying the recitation of Brihad Bhagavatamrita and learning some things also. We are in the first chapter of the second part, and we have come to the point where the Brahman has reached Prayag and has been introduced to the deity of Madhava or Bindu Madhava. And he's really fascinated. The Brahman's really fascinated with this deity and with the devotees also. Because these devotees are deeper in terms of knowledge and just the feel they have for the absolute truth, for their process. There's definitely a deeper feeling and mood than back, for example, in Kaji, where everyone was an impersonalist, basically. And what to speak of at Gangasagar, where everyone was really just a materialist. So we'll start with verse 69, and then we'll go on. There's a change. It's about 82 or 80-something. Bit of a change of theme, because at that point he meets Gopakumar, who is really the central person in the whole narration. Yes, so we'll get there shortly. Let's begin reading verse 69. Sri Parikshit said, thus, while looking at Sri Madhava and bowing down to him, the Brahmin noticed some likeness in appearance between Sri Madhava and the Lord on whom he meditated while chanting his mantra. Yes, so he has seen the deity of the mantra. He has seen Madan Gopal in a dream. At least in a dream, he's seen the deity of the mantra and became very inspired by that. So now he sees the actual deity of Bindu Madhava, a very famous deity in Prayag. He's still there. And our Brahmin friend notices the similarity. Are they the same person? Well, of course they are, actually. So this is all going on. You know, the devotees there in Prayag had made the point that don't worry too much. They said, just meditate on Madhava and understanding will come to you. So here, he's looking at Madhava, he's meditating on Madhava, but he's also chanting his mantra, which has already before had other effects. So the combination of reciting the mantra and having darshan of Madhava, this is gradually sort of penetrating, opening up his heart. Verse 70, there at Dash Ashvamedha Ghat, I heard some passages from the Puranas in the company of the Vaishnavas, and he saw various deities of Vishnu that they worshipped. Yes. So, for example, he read or heard, basically listened to some discussions, for example, on the Magh Mahatmya of the Padma Purana, which talks particularly about bathing at Prayag during the month of Magh. Yes. And because he's hearing in the company of these, they're basically very nice devotees, because he's hearing in their company, he becomes influenced by their faith and their mood, their ecstasy. 71. Nonetheless, he remained ignorant, unable to recognize his own worshipable deity to be the same Lord Madhava, the ruler of the universe and master of the saintly devotees. Yes, so we already heard that he noticed some likeness. That's what was said. He noticed some likeness. Not that he realized that, wow, look at this. This is the same person in two forms. He hadn't reached that point yet. But some likeness, it's getting through to him. So, yeah, he was still too foolish and just too influenced by the material nature. 72. He continued to think that this Madhava, the Lord of the universe, was the object of worship for these Vaishnavas, these other Vaishnavas, and that his object of worship was someone else. So he's got to get more darshan, but particularly he's got to chant the mantra more, because he accepts that Madhava is the Supreme Lord. Yeah. But he hadn't really received enough mercy from the devotees to understand that this person, this deity you're worshipping by chanting your mantra, is the same Lord. Some more mercy is required. Mercy is extremely important. Mercy is sort of like the crucial factor ultimately. And I'm sure you've heard us give the example. Let's give it again. It's a good one. That in the Damodar Leela, Mother Yashoda's trying to tie Lord Krishna, but the rope is always 2 fingers too short. But finally she does it. So Sridhar Swami, one of our great acharyas, he explains that one of those 2 fingers, this one, represents the endeavor of the devotee to serve the Lord and please the Lord. But the other finger represents the Lord's mercy. And both fingers have to be there, not just one. Not just, I'll work hard and do it my way. And not just, you want this battle fought? Okay, no problem. I will take rest, and you win the battle. And you can wake me up when the battle has been won. Not simply the mercy of the Lord, but rather both fingers have to be there. And as we always point out, look at least my fingers. Look. You see, whoops. This is the mercy finger. See? This is the my effort finger. You see which one is bigger? At least amongst my fingers, I don't know about yours. Look at that, there's a big difference. So, mercy is always the main factor, although our effort has to be there. Okay, anyway, let's carry on. 73. So this is now the Brahmin is thinking, Lord Madhava has 4 arms, he thought, and is decorated with a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus. This is not my deity. Why should my Lord look like this? Yeah, so in other words, this Bindu Madhava is a Vishnu form, Vaikuntha form of the Lord, 4 arms. But the deity of his mantra, his Gopal, Madan Gopal, the deity of his mantra, is a form of Krishna, 2-armed Krishna. Different, same person, but really quite different manifestation. 74. Because now he's seen other deities of different other Vishnu forms. So he says, my Lord doesn't appear as half man, half lion. He doesn't become a dwarf or take the forms of a fish, a turtle, a hog, and the like. No, my Lord's different. He's very beautiful, 2-armed person. Nor does he become the Lord of the Raghus with the sign of a king and a bow in his hand. But maybe my deity does somewhat resemble the Gopal worshipped by some of these devotees. Some of the devotees there, they have Gopal forms that they're worshipping. 76. Still, I cannot imagine that my deity is the Lord of the universe. My deity doesn't have the characteristics that I have heard described in the glorification of the month of Mag and other scriptural texts. So we mentioned that, we read that just a few verses ago, that they were chanting the Mag Mahatmya of Padma Purana, which describes the glories of bathing in there's the combined Ganges, Yamuna, and Saraswati. So the glories of bathing in those rivers during the month of Magh in Prayag. Yeah. And just so we understand that, we have here a couple of verses from that Magh Mahatmya of the Padma Purana. Here we go. The Lord was seated on Garuda. His complexion was the color of a new rain cloud. He had 4 arms and broad eyes, and he was decorated with all kinds of ornaments. Gopal of Gopakumar, of the Brahman, doesn't really look like that. I mean, partially, but the 4 arms, that's a big challenge. So, 77. My Lord takes care of the cows in the forest, along with his many cowherd friends. He holds a flute to his mouth and is decorated with forest ornaments. Just like an ordinary person, he transgresses the religious principles of saints, being always addicted to playful sports with all the cowherd girls. So this Bindu Madhava and the deities related to him, they're all much more formal and more, what would you say, just sort of like regal and royal, very respectable, not like Madan Gopal, who is addicted to playful sports with all the cowherd girls. This is Bindu Madhava and his expansions. They don't do things like that. He's very noble and regal. 78. By the power of the goddess, I have felt bliss in worshipping him. Therefore I shall never abandon him or my chanting of his mantra. Yes. So he's convinced. He's getting such an experience from his chanting, which is also, there's benefit coming from having darshan of Madhava and his different expansions. 79. Thus the Brahmin continued chanting his mantra in seclusion as before. And by the power of the saintly company of the Vaishnavas, he would see his Lord as if directly in person. Wow. Amazing. So, he's chanting his 10-syllable Gopal mantra, and he's making such progress in that sometimes he sees the Lord in the mantra. He sees the Lord in the mantra, as if the Lord was just face to face with him as we're face to face with each other. 80. Because of the nature of the object of his meditation, he sometimes fainted in ecstasy. And when he woke up and noticed that the time for chanting his mantra had been lost, he would lament. So, like when we chant our 16 rounds, then you got the whole day. Ideally at least, not just ideally, but it shouldn't happen unless there's just some terrible emergency. Otherwise, it shouldn't happen that you don't finish your 16 rounds before you take rest. It shouldn't happen that when you come to the time you're taking rest, you've still got rounds to chant. You got the whole day. But some of these other mantras, like this Gopal mantra, and like our Gayatri mantras, we chant 7. Those who are second initiated, we chant 7 Gayatri mantras. And we were talking about sannyas. Was it last night? Anyway, one of the days or nights. Then you get an 8th Gayatri mantra. So, but now the thing is about chanting those mantras, you don't get the whole day. You got to chant those mantras 3 times a day. Once in the morning, once in the middle of the day, and once in the evening. And not just once, each mantra 10 times actually. Yeah, but you got to chant early in the morning, before sunrise. Got to chant in the middle of the day between 12 and 2 or so. And then in the evening after sunset. And what happens? Wow. If, for example, not usually, but if devotees ever miss chanting one set of Gayatri mantras, either the morning, the midday, or the evening, the one that they miss, almost inevitably, if they miss any, is the one in the middle of the day. Because they may get you could get busy and so on. So what happens to you? Because you don't have the whole day. What happens to you if you don't chant any of the Gayatris? But let's say if you don't chant your midday Gayatris, you know what happens to you? You turn into a pumpkin. Did you know that? You must not have missed it because you haven't turned into a pumpkin. Anyway, no, the thing is, you got to make up for it. But it's bad. It's like an offense. Whereas if you chant your 16 rounds and you chant some in the morning, some in the middle of the day, some in the evening, actually it's not ideal. But at least if you chant them all within the 24 hours, that's okay. It's not a problem. There's no offense. But with the Gayatri mantras, if you miss your midday Gayatris somehow, you can always just chant them later and, all right. But it's not good. It's definitely not good. Right, so here we have the Brahman. He went into his meditation and he went into a trance. And when he came out of it, he saw that the time for chanting his mantra had passed. And it was too late. 81. So, this would happen sometimes, not just once. But there were some different occasions when this happened. And when it happened, he would lament, "What is the cause of this disturbance? Now I am in great trouble. Night has fallen before I could finish today's chanting." We should feel like that. You know, if we're chanting, those of you who have got second initiation, and somehow if you miss one set of mantras, that sort of thing, you should feel like this. Now I'm in great trouble. This is nonsense. I'm a nonsense. You shouldn't just think, I'll do it tomorrow. That's definitely not good enough at all. 82. Have I fallen asleep or become haunted by a ghost? Tickalosh, maybe. Oh, I am so wicked that even when I have reason to be sad, I feel happiness in my heart. I should be feeling sad, but I feel happy. Oh, what a wretch I am. Yes. So he thinks maybe he fell asleep. Actually, he was in an ecstatic trance, but he thought he might have fallen asleep, might have become attacked by a ghost. So this is 83. Now we're really getting into it now. One day, however, while lamenting in this way, as he began to feel drowsy from fasting, he saw Lord Madhava, who consoled him and gave him this instruction. So he had gone into a state of ecstasy, and coming out of it, he became upset with himself. And he felt so discouraged that he wouldn't eat. He didn't eat for that day. So then, because he hadn't eaten, he was feeling kind of lethargic, and therefore he was sort of dozing a little. And so Madhava, Bindu Madhava, the deity of Dashashvamedha Tirtha, appeared to him and said, "Why are you lamenting for no reason?" This is now Madhava, Bindu Madhava. This is not Madan Gopal. This is Bindu Madhava. Why are you lamenting for no reason? Why are you causing distress to me, your worshipable deity? Now Madhava has stated it. You are causing distress to me, Madhava is saying, Bindu Madhava. Me, and I am your worshipable deity. In other words, Gopal. Madhava and Gopal, they're the same person. And he assures him, soon all your ambitions will be achieved. So the deity, Madhava, in his trance-like or dreaming or whatever, some sort of transcendental state, tells him that I am your worshipable deity. Dear Brahman, please remember the words of Vishveshvara, the husband of Uma. Go by the path along the shore of the Yamuna to Sri Vrindavan. So I don't know if you remember, but it was some few days ago that when he met Lord Shiva and Parvati, that Lord Shiva said, follow the Yamuna to Vrindavan, because the Yamuna flows. Well, that was in Kashi. In Kashi, the Yamuna has merged into the Ganges, but in Prayag of course it's coming down to Prayag and then to Kashi. So, and he's going up. He met Lord Shiva here in Kashi, and the river's flowing that way. And there Lord Shiva told him, just go to Vrindavan, means that's up that way. Yeah. So Lord Shiva told him to do that. And Lord Shiva is the husband of the goddess Kamakya, and it is Kamakya who gave him his mantra, which is now, it's such a very powerful part of his life. And so the Brahmin understood, I got to do what he says. He is the master of this person who gave me the mantra. So now this is Madhava continuing. By my mercy, there you will obtain extraordinary pleasure. In Vrindavan, going on, walking along the shore of Yamuna, you'll reach Vrindavan. Go and don't delay anywhere on the road for any reason. 86. Thus the Brahmin arose early in the morning and happily set out on his journey. Gradually he came to blessed Madhupuri and bathed at Vishranti Tirtha. So this means he has arrived in Mathura, because that's where you find Vishram Ghat, Vishranti Tirtha, or Vishram Ghat. It's one of the most important or popular of the ghats along the Yamuna in Mathura. Okay, 87. He went on to Vrindavan. Vrindavan is further along the road. And there felt enlivened at every moment. For while chanting his mantra, he saw in meditation most of the companions and surroundings from Krishna's pastimes. He's pretty advanced. I don't know what you see when you are chanting your mantras, but he's seeing the inner, unmanifest Vrindavan and the inhabitants. He wandered here and there in that cow-adorned land without meeting any people. But at one place on the eastern side of Keshi Tirtha, he heard someone crying. Wow. Well, if you know Keshi Ghat is on the west side of the Yamuna. Right on the bank, but on the western side. And the eastern side of Keshi Tirtha, well, today it's agricultural fields, basically. It's not developed yet. So there he's moving around, and he went over to that eastern side of the Yamuna, opposite Keshi Ghat, and there he heard someone crying. You know who it is. It's Gopakumar. He's just about to meet Gopakumar. heading in the direction of that sound, he heard it mingled with constant Nam Sankirtan, performed in pure love. And so he looked for the person chanting. So from a distance he just heard, it sounded like crying, but when he got closer, he heard the names of the Lord being chanted very sweetly, with great attention and affection, with syllables drawn out long and melodious, by someone whose heart seemed completely softened by love of God. So he became intent upon finding this person. He entered a dense, dark forest where he could not see anyone, but he discerned the place from which the sound came, and he eagerly went there to the bank of the Yamuna. Dense, dark forest, so thick with branches and leaves that the sunlight couldn't penetrate. So inside the forest it was dark. There, in a grove of kadamba trees, he found a handsome young man whose body was very tender, with the dress and accoutrements of a cowherd. So he's dressed like a cowherd boy. He's got a flute, he's got a buffalo horn, because these things are standard equipment for cowherd boys. Flutes, buffalo horns for herding the cows. A herding stick, you've got to tap them, keep them going in the right direction. And this cowherd boy had a peacock feather on his head. So he looked really amazing and auspicious. And this is Gopakumar. You understand Gopakumar, what it means? Gopakumar? Gopa, cowherd boy, Kumar, young, like a boy. I mean, Gopa means cowherd, and Kumar means boy. So, cowherd boy, that's the name of the hero of the story. So, mistaking this person for his worshipable deity, the Brahmin joyfully called out, "Oh, Gopal!" What did he call out?
Oh, Gopal.
He called out, "Oh, Gopal!" What did he call out?
Oh, Gopal.
More like that, yeah. And fell to the ground like a rod to offer respects. Yeah, because Madan Gopal, the deity of the mantra, is a cowherd boy. Madan Gopal. It means he's a cowherd boy. And this is a cowherd boy. So, the Brahmin thought, maybe this is the deity, the person of my mantra, but rarely in person. Otherwise, it was always in the mind or in a dream or some vision. But here, you've got a concrete person, so to speak. So, therefore, he fell on the ground. And chanted this word. So now, this is the description of that cowherd boy. This young man was the crest jewel of those who know everything. As he regained external consciousness, he recognized his visitor. What? How dare you? Get out of here. You're insane. Go away. Get out of here. Thank you. This young man was the crest jewel of those who know everything. As he regained external consciousness, he recognized his visitor as a Mathura Brahmin living in the district of the goddess Kamakya and worshipping Sriman Madan Gopal. The young cowherd stood up and came out of the grove, bowed down to the Brahmin, and embraced him and made him sit down. So, this Gopakumar, as the verse says, he was the crest jewel of those who know everything. Therefore, when he just looked at the Brahmin, he understood he's a Mathura Brahmin. He lives in that district of the goddess Kamakya. You remember the name of that district? You won't remember the name. Do you remember that? Pragjotishpur. That was where he was from. It's the district of Kamakya. And he understood this person is worshipping Madan Gopal. So, and all of this he just knew without being told, because he was on a really high and very different level of consciousness. And he understood, Gopakumar, the young cowherd boy, understood. He's come for some special purpose by the arrangement of the Lord. And actually, it's not mentioned here specifically, but it's understood that Gopakumar had been ordered to go to that place where he was, over the river from Keshigat. He'd been ordered to go to that grove in the morning by Srimati Radharani. Wow. So understanding this is all the arrangement of the Lord and Radharani, he bowed down to the Brahmin, raised him up from the ground, embraced him, and invited him to sit down. To further gain the Brahmin's confidence, the cowherd pleased him with hospitality and then smiled and revealed something about the Brahmin's life. You know, this is really super mystical. And we can just imagine the Brahmin is just like, what is going on? Because Gopakumar has briefly recounted what has been happening in the life of this Brahmin and recounts to him how he was worshipping Kamakya and what happened in the course of his coming to this place. I mean, all the different Ganga, Saga, Kashi, Prayag. Now he's in Vrindavan. Yeah. And he revealed these things hidden in the Brahmin's heart, which obviously no one else could know. No ordinary person could know. Why did he do this? He wanted to gain the trust of the Brahmin, that I know you. You can listen to me. So the Brahmin would believe what he was about to hear. Otherwise, the Brahmin might be skeptical about Gopakumar's fantastic story. Fantastic in the sense of unbelievable, just, you just can't grasp it. That sort of fantastic. Not just fantastic like, oh, really nice, fantastic. The Brahmin now understood that this was a young cowherd boy and accepted him as if the boy was a dear friend, happily trusting him. The Brahmin then recounted his own entire life history. 97. Then with great humility, considering this young child of the cowherds the best of wise men and a great saint, because he's young. Gopakumar's young. So he's described here as the young child of the cowherds. He's not really an adult. So, but understanding and considering him to be the best of wise men and a great saint, the Brahmin submissively added an inquiry. Yeah. The Brahmin said, from various sources, I have heard of various goals and various methods to achieve them. But still I cannot definitely decide what goal I should strive for and what I should do to reach it. Yeah. Because he's heard all these different ideas. Down at Gangasagar, the householders say, yeah, you should worship demigods and get material things. In Kaji, you should focus on the impersonal Brahman, take sannyas, merge into the state of liberation. Prayag, well, it's definitely much more Vaishnav, but you should worship this particular deity. So, the Brahmin is confused. What goal should I strive for, and how can I reach it? And he continues, whatever the goddess has ordered me, I regularly do, but I have no idea about the results of these duties or even what kinds of acts they are. I don't know what the results will be of doing these things or even really what I'm doing. Yes. So why is he doing it then? Why is he chanting the mantra? It's because of his respect for Karmakya, and it's because he gets some really powerful feeling from it. Like if we chant Hare Krishna without offenses, with real attention, we'll get a real feeling out of it. I therefore think my life worthless, and I simply want to die. I continue to live only by the mercy of Lord Madhava and Lord Shiva and Lord Shiva's wife. Oops. Only by their mercy have I met you here today, a compassionate and all-knowing person. You are just like my worshipable deity, and I'm very happy and satisfied to meet you. Now, please deliver this wretched soul. That's verse 101. Hare Krishna. Devotees. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita Ki Jai. Srila Sanatana Goswami Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. We will continue tomorrow. Same time, same place.